Hey everyone, I am Devian Olaf. Many of you know me, some of you don't. That's quite all right, but I'm hoping most of you know the organization TOOL, the Open Organization of Lockpickers. It is something I've been a part of for many years. You see us around at a lot of conferences, obviously. Yeah, we've been serving the community for almost 2 decades now here in the US, and quite frankly, even a lot longer than that overseas. TOOL was originally a Dutch group and then was created here by many people who got enthusiastic about lock sport in America. TOOL is a 501c3. We're an educational nonprofit, and all of our paperwork there has been available for a long time. We're an open group, and everything about us is pretty public record at this point. If you don't know, we have a staff, limited as it may be for a volunteer charity org. We have a 5-person board. The board members are all unpaid. We do have a few paid employees. Those consist of our accountant, our bookkeeper, and an office manager who handles shipping of equipment and logistics relating to our appearances at conferences. So yes, TOOL is all volunteer though. When you see us at conferences and events, when you see us at educational shows, anytime you see stuff being put out online, every one of the people you see in a TOOL shirt helping others and teaching others, they're not really getting compensated for anything other than maybe a hotel room at a conference or a free badge to get in to see some talks. And TOOL has always been able to make ends meet this way. Yes, like most charitable organizations that have a membership base, we have member dues. In addition to that, you may be familiar with the fact that we sell pick tools and other sort of lock sport equipment, either at conferences where you see us running the Lockpick Village or on our website. And yes, sometimes members of the community or corporations that want to support lock sport will have given us either donations in dollars or donations in kind. And this has always worked out pretty well. The books have always been healthy. It's in those very early days, I remember when people would put some stuff on personal credit cards and just kind of float it to keep it alive when we were a small organization. But now even the biggest things on our calendar every year, appearing at DEF CON, appearing at the Maker Faire when that used to be a big event. We've been invited by the White House in DC in the past. We have gone up to West Point. These are all things that we've been able to do just by sustaining ourselves like any regular org you might imagine. And we did so until the pandemic. The pandemic put a lot of things on hiatus. We didn't feel there was any real appropriate or safe way to do what we do during a time of COVID. There's a lot of shared equipment being passed around tables and everyone in small spaces leaning over and looking at things. So we went on hiatus. TOOL essentially paused almost all operations. We stopped appearing at conferences, we shut down all of our in-person meetings for chapters, and we kind of just packed up. In fact, we literally packed up. We even took our main headquarters and moved it to a smaller location in a cheaper place and put a lot of our other gear in storage. So during this time of hiatus, however, something happened to TOOL. And it was discovered pretty recently. I was looking over some banking information for some of my own companies this last November, and I still have visibility as a board member into TOOL's books. And I checked the bank balance and I said, that's kind of low. I mean, I know we haven't been doing much, and we do have some ongoing expenses like software and licensing and the website, but this seems off. So I contacted the other board members, and they all dug their credentials out of KeyPass and 1Password, and they logged in, and they said, "Yeah, this doesn't look right at all. This is a much lower balance than we would expect to have." So then we performed an initial investigation, and over the course of about a day and a half, we discovered that over $20,000 had been drained from our operating account. So how did this happen? Well, that was the result of the next investigation, which took about a week. We did a full investigation with our bank. Our institution is Wells Fargo. And I went back through all basically transactions since the beginning of the pandemic, line by line with Wells Fargo. And here's what we discovered. We discovered that one of our debit cards had been compromised. TOOL does have some bank cards that are used by leadership for operating expenses, paying software licenses, booking hotel rooms and logistics related to conferences, right? One of those cards had been compromised, and it was used in a systematic attack by, I can only presume, someone with some fraud experience, because it was small transactions just going on and on and on. And it was started out with low dollar amounts, right? 1, 2 figures, little stuff. Never more than a couple $100s in any given month. Seemingly intentionally designed to evade detection. This was all done through Amazon, by the way. We did discover that the fraud was all coming through Amazon Marketplace purchases. And apparently on someone's Prime account. because the card that was compromised was literally paying a monthly Amazon Prime fee. So it's a very localized attack. And again, it was very small until presumably whoever was committing the offense realized that during the hiatus, no one was at the helm. No one was using this account for other purposes. So they said, wow, we can probably dial this up. And dial up they did. By the end, in the last few months, the dollar amounts shot way up, and we were talking about thousands of dollars per month. And again, this seems to be exclusively through Amazon. I did check personally, along with our financial team and the other board members. We looked at every other sort of transaction we had going on, and anything that looked questionable, I said, hey, what is this weird, what's this thing? And someone said, no, I have a receipt for that. We had to order this, we had to order T-shirts because some of our membership needed new Oh, okay, that's it. What is this? The sticker or something? Oh, no, that's the labels that we put on the locks. We had to do another order of labels. So imagine that for a week going through every transaction. And it only was Amazon Marketplace. That was the exclusive point of compromise. No other merchant or vendor appears to be involved. So what did we do next? Well, naturally, we killed that card right away. We were working with Wells Fargo to report the fraud. That's the first thing that happened. We've reported it beyond there as well. In addition to reporting to Wells Fargo, we reported to IC3, the FBI, for whatever purposes that may serve. We shall see, but I put all the documentation in. And then we started reaching out to others in the community saying, what else should we be doing? We are very fortunate that I and others in the TOOOL leadership have good connections. I've been around a long time, so we reached out to EFF, and their financial director spoke to us. We reached out to other nonprofits, and they said, yeah, no, this is what you're doing so far is exactly what we would do. This looks pretty consistent with best practices. You may want to look in future into a third-party audit that we sometimes conduct a regular audit once a year. Maybe TOOOL wants to do that, and we said, oh yeah, please give me the names of whoever you use. And that's for the future, sure. But some of you, when I say the word audit and oversight, you might be asking yourselves, wait a minute, why wouldn't this be just noticed in the course of normal bookkeeping, right? Like, isn't that something that a bookkeeper would catch with these expenses going on? Well, the pandemic also brought us another surprising message relating to finances. This one was just a few months back, and it was from our accountant. Our CPA told us that they would no longer be able to work with TOOOL because they had never met someone as unresponsive and unprofessional as our bookkeeper. Unbeknownst to many of us, during this time of hiatus, our bookkeeper went MIA. And in fact, we have essentially, again, not knowing it, been operating without a bookkeeper for almost a year. So no transactions were being reconciled. And again, I have to be very clear, there's no evidence, because this is the first thing that Wells Fargo asked us, there's no evidence at this time that our bookkeeper had anything to do with the fraud or was connected in any way to compromising this card. It wasn't his card, but it's still nonetheless an extreme disappointment. The bookkeeper was a member of the hacker community and came recommended, and to just vanish from us and ostensibly, allegedly has left the country without telling anyone, it's disheartening. At this point now, I have spent, I don't know how many hours on the phone with Wells Fargo, again, just going line by line by line and identifying over 900 of these small fraud transactions. I have not spent any significant time, however, working with Amazon because, to the best of our understanding, there's no way to contact Amazon in a nature of this kind of fraud. If you, a customer of Amazon, notice a transaction on your account that you think is fraud, you can report that. I didn't pay for this order. I didn't order this. But if you notice Amazon was used to perpetuate fraud against you, there's no easy mechanism. We've tried, and I'm connected to the community, right? Like, I've got contacts inside of Amazon in the security org, but no one seems to find a way to get the fraud division to work with us and to connect with us and to connect them to Wells Fargo for the investigation. And whether or not Amazon could have made a difference, where we stand now is that Wells Fargo has investigated and determined that 100% of these transactions to them look consistent with your normal banking practice. They denied everything. And no refunds, no help. We have escalated this internally. Our hopes aren't very high because we have now heard from, again, many of those other nonprofits and folk I mentioned. They've said, oh yeah, Wells Fargo has an abysmal reputation in the financial world for behaving this way and denying everyone at all times, oh, that's not really fraud. One thing that Wells Fargo did also try to say is that, well, according to the language of our agreements, you have to report fraud within 60 days. And much of this goes back further than that. Okay, you might have something valid to say there, Wells Fargo, but Remember, the bulk of the fraud, the highest dollar amounts, were right at the end. It is for that reason that we do not consider the matter closed, and I've continued to escalate and I've continued to force Wells Fargo to not close the matter, but we are stuck waiting for them to get back to us every time, and it takes weeks every time when we have to wait for a response from them. So where are we now? Well, TOOOL does have sufficient financial posture to continue in this limited capacity. Our pandemic mode of operation is pretty slim. We can cover our website payments. We've got email up and running. The Slack is still there. Our whole membership back-end system is functional. We're hoping to appear at conferences again in 2022. I mean, our ShmooCon hotel rooms are booked on people's personal credit cards this time. But at the moment, right now, we've taken a hit. TOOOL is a nonprofit that, again, we just invest everything right back into the community. I believe we've been told we're the only lock sport and lock picking related organization that does that. Pretty much everyone else you see out there doing anything with lock picks is for profit and a private company. So it's hard to sustain going forward without hurting. And that's why we're talking to you right now. If you're feeling generous, if you have any remaining funds at the end of this year, if you would like to make a tax-deductible charitable donation to a 501c3, TOOOL would love to hear from you. You know us, those of you who don't know us already, our website's out there, TOOOL with 3Os.us. TOOOL.us has our whole mission statement, all of our bylaws, and plenty of information about the educational outreach that we've been very proud to do and will continue to do long into the future. Also, on that same domain, TOOOL.us, you can go to TOOOL.us/donate if you want an easy turnkey way to offer something to us during this time. So that's where we are at this time. TOOOL's not going away. We are going to be able to weather this, but obviously your support could make a big difference as we do so. We are going to keep working with Wells Fargo. Maybe there's a hope we can recover a good chunk of those funds, especially the ones right at the end during those final fraud transactions that were large. We'll continue to be open with the public and receptive to you. If any of you are legal experts or financial fraud experts, our network of friends has been amazing to us so far, but if you have a voice that can benefit this conversation, please get in touch. This is going to be a matter that we'll continue addressing and continue talking about as it unfolds. And if by some miracle the funds get fully restored and you feel that your donation to us is no longer as necessary, get in touch. We're happy to send it back your way if that's what happens. So yeah, as a public entity and a nonprofit, this was going to be openly reported. We have a membership report that's coming out with the health of the org. This was going to be in there. But right now, at the close of 2021, we wanted to give you a chance. If you felt that TOOOL has been good to you in the past and you have some extra budget or you have some holiday money you got in your stockings or under some kind of package wrapping this year and you want to just direct it back our way, we would be grateful. But mostly, we just wanted to let you know what's been going on. It's our obligation to be open and honest, and we'll continue to be so in future and continue to serve you and your needs in future. So see you at the next conference. Keep you updated on this. And above all, have a happy new year and stay safe out there.